Welcome back. I'm Tammy from Palatable Plants, and today we're going to be talking a bit about nutrition and the nutrition changes that I made when I started my healing journey of how I cleared my adult acne. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it below, and any other extra information I will link in the video in the description box below as well. I hope that you'll enjoy this video and that it will be useful and maybe you'll learn something. Enjoy. What I'm going to be talking about is the type of foods that I cut out. Some of them are quite self-explanatory, and I'm not really going to dive deep into the reasons why I cut these foods out. If you would like a more in-depth video about specific food types that I have cut out, let me know in the comments below. But I'm just going to skim through them and just mention some of the changes that I did make when I changed the way that I ate, or changed the way that I eat, because I still follow these guidelines. So the first thing that I cut out obviously was alcohol. This is sort of self-explanatory, but I mean it puts a massive burden on the liver because it's a toxin, and so the liver is one of the organs you definitely don't want to put under stress when you are dealing with adult acne. So besides the fact that it puts you in a different state of mind, it's really just not healthy for you at all, and so I cut it out completely. The next thing was meat and meat products, so anything that had meat in it, I don't consume that at all. It's filled with artificial hormones and antibiotics, and the same goes for dairy, you know, your ice cream, your yogurt, all of that stuff. I cut it out, as well as eggs, all because it contains artificial hormones, the antibiotics, it's pumped with medication. I mean, it's just not good quality, and I wouldn't even call it food. I wouldn't say it's good quality food. I don't really consider it food at all. So I don't eat anything that comes from an animal. I know a lot of vegans don't eat animal products because of the animals and the rights behind the animals, and that was never the reason why I changed, but looking into it after it later, it helped solidify my decision to not consume any animal products, and I've done perfectly fine, you know, without eating that, and I don't damage my health at the same time, so it's a win-win for everyone. The next thing I want to discuss is white flour specifically. So like your white pastas, your white breads. White rice was touch and go at the time. I don't really consume white rice anymore. But then I did, when I first initially made the change, I did eat white rice. I sort of restricted the amount of white rice that I ate, but I did eat white rice. But now I tend to, you know, stay away from it altogether. So no white flour, you know, white bread, white pastries. It cuts out a lot of things, your biscuits, all of that stuff, donuts, which are obviously unhealthy anyway, but white flour is super processed and refined, and there's just like hardly any goodness in it. It's more taxing for your body to try and digest that than it is, you know, like the nutritional value that you get out of it. So I just decided to cut that one out altogether. Then like your ordinary sugar, you know, like table sugar, also corn syrup and fructose, that's in a lot of packaged foods. So this included all artificial sweeteners, like aspartame, anything that said sugar-free but was still sweet. I avoided all of those products as well. It's good to read labels, but as you will hear later, some of the foods I cut out, I mean, I barely ate anything coming from package anyway. So sugar, I just eliminated, and I did notice a huge difference with sugar. In the times that I would eat sugar, my acne would flare up. So that was just not an option. That's cut out completely. Then table salt is another one. Table salt is completely refined, and all the good stuff has been removed, and they've tried like putting, you know, extra things in there to, like the iodine, to try and help make it more nutritional. But there are other additives as well. Like table salt is quite fine, so it sort of clumps together, and to prevent that, some companies will like put anti-caking agents in it, and I mean, you really just aren't getting salt, like pure salt. So I would just cut that one out altogether, and that obviously eliminates a ton of food that has table salt in it, and also food cooked by other people. I was very mindful when I ate at restaurants, because obviously they don't care, as long as it tastes good, they don't really mind what they put in. So even though I was eating vegan sort of plant-based meals, it could still be unhealthy because there's the addition of sugar and salt, which brings me to my next point, is black pepper. I know a lot of people probably don't know why I would cut out black pepper, but black pepper is a gut irritant, and I was already having gut issues, and I just didn't want to add any more burden to my body than what already, I was dealing with. So black pepper I eliminated. I still don't eat black pepper, like, at all. Don't add it to my food, don't consume it. Then another one which certain people probably would wonder why, and that is caffeine. Caffeine is a toxin itself as well. It puts stress on the liver, depletes you of some vital nutrients in your body's trying to eliminate this rubbish. It makes you dehydrated, and it's a nerve exciter as well, a stimulant. So at a stage I just became so addicted to caffeine. My coffee just couldn't get strong enough, and I was drinking such strong coffee that I would immediately get stomach pain from it, and I'd need to go to the toilet instantly. I know some of you know what I'm talking about. When you drink strong coffee, it just like affects your gut immediately. Sometimes I would be at work, and after drinking a strong cup of coffee, I'd be busy with a client, and I would be buckled over with pain. It felt like someone was literally stabbing me in the gut with a knife. And I realized that I needed to get rid of that. I still don't consume coffee at all, or any tea or green tea even. I don't drink anything that has caffeine in it. I've just completely eliminated it. Then the next one, which is similar to caffeine, is cocoa. This one is a long journey for me because I have quite an addictive personality. So once I got rid of the coffee, I became addicted to cocoa, and my cocoa just could not get strong enough. I was drinking such strong cocoa, like my husband couldn't even bear the sight of it, let alone try and taste it, because it was like pure cocoa sludge. And I realized that was because I was after the same effect that the coffee was giving me. And cocoa contains something called theobromine, which is also a nerve exciter, and it does similar things to what caffeine does, and also puts a burden on the body. And I think personally I am just also very sensitive to cocoa. I think I might have a slight intolerance to it because I have very adverse effects when I eat cocoa or chocolate. And the last time I actually ate chocolate, I was sick for 2 weeks afterwards. Okay, I did binge. That's also a problem I have. I binged a lot. I used to binge eat so much, and there wasn't just moderation. I wouldn't just like have a block of chocolate, and because of my addictive personality, I would have to eat the entire slab, and if there was another slab, I would just eat that one as well. So the last time I did that, I just got violently ill, and I just decided that it wasn't worth it, and I really needed to give it up. So the cocoa went with it, and then obviously when I got rid of the cocoa addiction, I started dealing with the addiction of sugar. So that one had to go as well. I have to be very careful with what I do because I tend to get addicted to things quite easily. Then another one I cut out was processed foods. Now this is it's a bit of a difficult one because anything that you can't really identify is processed. So as long as I knew where it was coming from, like what sort of food it was, I could have like identified that. Like, okay, let me give an example. Potato chips, I mean, that doesn't even really look like a potato anymore. So I'm sure some of them look like potatoes, but I mean, some of them don't. And if I couldn't really identify what food it came from, I just avoided it. If it came in a package, completely cut it out. It was just safer for me that way, because that way I'd also be avoiding the sugar, the salt, the other ingredients, oils that I wasn't consuming. So that brings me to the next one, is certain oils. I cut out all oil except for olive oil and coconut oil, and I stopped eating fried foods completely. Fried foods are quite cancer causing, and I didn't want, not just the burnt bits. I mean, we know that burnt bits of food is, causes cancer, always linked to cancer, but so are fried foods, and it's just really not healthy. It's full of saturated fats and all that kind of stuff, so I just eliminated it. Then one that I eliminated that some people might not be very aware of is baking powder. Baking powder is a gut irritant, and it also, they said, has aluminium in it. And again, I just didn't want to burden my gut at all. I didn't want to add extra toxins, and so that one was just eliminated completely. I did at the time still use bicarb as a raising agent, but recently I've started cutting that out as well, because I've learned that that's also a gut irritant. And I mean, I was unaware at the time, but I still made do without it. And I really do believe that if you don't have all the answers, you can still make small changes, you know, as long as you're trying to work your way in the right direction. Little mistakes are not gonna be detrimental. As long as you keep trying to improve, keep researching, keep trying to get better and eat better, I think you'll be fine. Another one that I limited drastically is vinegar. A lot of people might wonder why vinegar. But vinegar, again, it's a stomach irritant. It irritates the lining of the stomach, and it has undigestible, you know, components to it. So it's really not considered a food, actually. So I just eliminated that completely, but ignorantly I carried on eating like a vegan mayonnaise that had high content of vinegar in it. At the time I didn't really think about it. Even your tomato sauces. Okay, I stopped eating condiments altogether, actually. So the vegan mayo sort of came before and after this phase. I still ate it a little bit after my acne was healed, but I didn't think too much about the vinegar. But I mean, if you're considering the salt, the sugar, the oils, it's easy to see that those sort of things need to be eliminated anyway. So I cut out condiments, all kinds of condiments, for a period of time until my skin was healed, and then I slowly started introducing them back, but I'm back to cutting them out completely. I don't eat any condiments unless I've made them myself, obviously, because then they don't contain sugar, they don't contain table salt, they don't contain the vinegar, the oils. Yeah, it's just safer for me that way to do it like that. People wonder what are you left with to eat, but I mean, we have an abundance of fruit and veggies to choose from. So I opted to eat whole foods. If I can identify the food as that's sort of considered whole food, added lots of veggies and fruit, and specifically green food. I try to eat greens with absolutely every meal. Even breakfast, I would like put tons of spinach in my smoothie to get those greens in. I would add spinach to my salads. Obviously your lettuces, your greens, cucumbers, zucchinis, broccoli, peas, anything that was green, avo, good fats, you know, I would add to my diet. I didn't shy away from salt. I didn't shy away from fats. I mean, I ate my oil. I know there are some diets for healing the skin that tell you to eliminate the oil completely. I did try that for a period. It didn't work for me. And it was so restrictive. I mean, I was left with barely anything to eat. I know you can get by, but I was used to eating extravagant food, and to go from extravagant to like really bland food, it was very difficult for me. So I found a balance in the middle. I mean, I didn't overdo it with the oil and the fats, but I did still consume them, and my skin still healed. So I do believe fats are quite important for your health. Raw foods I started incorporating. I definitely wasn't eating enough raw foods, so I would include some salads and, you know, add different things into the salads. Sometimes salad would be my main meal, and I would add some cooked food to the salad. So I would make like a big salad, and I would just add like butternut to the salad, or cooked potato to the salad, or some cooked chickpeas. I'd throw seeds in there and make it quite a wholesome meal. I mean, when you think of salad, you think of like lettuce, tomato, cucumber. I mean, that wasn't it. We would like throw sprouts and all kinds of things in there to make it exciting and appealing, because that's the thing, your food must be appealing. And I started becoming mindful of how I plated my food. I mean, you could throw everything together in like one big pile of like mash and it might not look appealing and you might not want to eat it, but if you just start plating things nicely, it can encourage you to eat healthily as well. Then antioxidants, I was quite aware of antioxidants because I know the free radicals in your body can wreak havoc, and especially with skin, you just want to get as many antioxidants as possible with any skin related issue specifically. And so I did some research about what foods have high antioxidants, and I try to incorporate berries into my daily meals, either fresh berries, or most of the case would be frozen berries that I would just put into smoothies because that's all that I could have on hand all the time. Then I also made other changes, which were no snacking between meals. At the time, I didn't know anything about intermittent fasting, but I was technically intermittent fasting. So I would eat between certain times of the day. I would wake up, have my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And sometimes I would only have 2 meals a day, actually. Just depends. I would listen to my body, you know. If I didn't feel like having a third meal, I didn't. And also learned that you're supposed to have a big breakfast. So breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. I think that's the saying. So I would have a good, decent breakfast when I woke up, and then I would have lunch and then a dinner if I felt like it was necessary. And then I wouldn't eat again at all, especially before bed, or, you know, until the next morning. Like if I woke up in the middle of the night for whatever reason, I wouldn't eat. Also mindful of not eating too close to bedtime, because that would irritate my stomach as well. So at the same time I was dealing with the skin issues, I was trying to heal the gut, because I was convinced that the gut was causing the skin issues, and so I was tackling both things at the same time. I also try to balance my meals. So I used to be quite guilty of just eating like potatoes for dinner with nothing else. So I started including like a little bit of a variety, making sure I got some grains, some legumes, fruit, veggies. I downloaded a vegan food pyramid, and I made sure that I was sort of following, not exactly, I mean, I wasn't becoming pedantic because I didn't want to overwhelm myself, but I just made sure I was following the different portion recommendations from that vegan meal pyramid, and that helped a lot to balance my meals. And I asked other people what they would eat, so they would give me some ideas, because I sometimes tend to get stuck in a rut where I'd cook the same thing over and over, and you forget about the other veggies that are available or what to do with them. So chatting to people helped a lot, and I started cooking my own food. I mean, I always have cooked my own food, but we used to eat out a lot, and I became a lot more mindful of eating out, because that's filled with condiments, food is fried, it's filled with rubbish, all kinds of sugars, salts, oils. I mean, like I said, as long as it tastes good, they don't really care what they put in it. And that's beside the cleanliness factor. I'm not going to comment on that, but yeah, I've heard that it's not very clean inside of a restaurant kitchen. I won't tell my source though. Then with every meal I ate, I just decided to listen to my gut. I think that's quite important. So even if you are eating healthy foods, sometimes those healthy foods just don't agree with you, and everyone is different. So if I ate something that was classified as healthy, but afterwards my stomach didn't feel so great, I would be aware of that, and maybe cut that out or reduce my intake of it. Like bread sort of aggravated my stomach a little bit, so I would, even the home-baked bread, I decided to start like reducing that. I didn't cut it out completely, but I definitely reduced my wheat intake, but that only came sort of at a later stage. As long as you are aware of what's going on in your body, just listen to your body, it can be very, very helpful. So these are the major changes that I made with regards to eating. I mean, it's a lot more simple than people make it out to be. And I mean, we have a huge variety of food that we can choose from. And when people say to me, you know, you don't eat meat, dairy, eggs, like what do you eat? I say to them, well, your meat is like this little portion on your plate, and everything else that's on your plate, that's what I eat. I eat the veggies, I eat the salad, I mean, there's just a huge abundance on this earth of food that we can eat that it doesn't have to be meat. Anyway, I hope that this video was helpful for you, and I hope that you were blessed by it. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. You're welcome to find me on Instagram. You can message me there, or on Facebook even, or even just leave a comment down below. You're welcome to contact me with any questions or suggestions even, or even let me know things that you've changed in your life and what differences you've made, or differences you've seen in the changes that you've made. I'd love to hear from you, and I hope that this video was helpful and that you were blessed by it. I'll see you next time. Bye bye. So, no, stop saying so.